Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Little Big Man and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new, welcome to my channel. Please be sure to subscribe as it really does help me out and it lets me know that people want to see these videos. But whether you are new or you've been here before, please be sure to like if you do enjoy it and let me know your thoughts in the comments on how our transfer window has gone. I just want to say a quick thank you. Obviously, it's 1st of February now, transfer window's done, but a massive, massive thank you to all of you for watching my videos, liking, subscribing, all that stuff. Been a mental month. I've just got the analytics up here, 2,991 views with a watch time of 75.4 hours. We've gained 21 subscribers through the month of January, which is insane. I never thought I was going to get that. I mean, I did the roundups just as a way to help people not have to go through fucking constant fucking shite, whether it's the Chronicle, Talk Spoil, if you want to believe that. I don't believe a single fucking word. Whether it's Romano, Alistair Gold, David Ornstein, I think his name is, I can't remember. Any other sources you see on whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any social medias on TV, YouTube, or anything. I just want to be able to sum it up into like a shorter video and be able to bring that news to you. So just a massive thank you to every single one of you. Honestly, unbelievable. But yeah, let's get into the video. Right. So yeah, for today's video, I brought in a special guest. I don't mean that in an offensive way. If it was Elcox, it would have been that. But someone with an actual bit of football knowledge, I've brought in JL. So a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
I'll have to put that in
you are
post
too kind. My football knowledge is slightly above the rest of the mods. So
to be fair, that's not saying much. I think Louis summed it up to a T. None of us have actual ball knowledge, so. But obviously, a lot of people that'll be watching this don't really know. But JL is actually a Blackpool fan, so it'd probably be a perfect opinion. He's smart, smart, and an outside opinion, so he's not really a biased opinion, hating Newcastle because we're rich. Thoughts on thoughts on your window to start off with?
Thoughts on Blackpool's window, right? Well, I think the big positive for us was that we actually kept our best player, Josh Bowler. Especially on transfer deadline day, there was interest from Fulham, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest bid 3 million for him, which we turned down, which just shows who we are as a club now. Because 2 years ago with the Oyston family, that would have been we'd have probably accepted about 500,000 for him.
Oh wow!
And with Simon Sadler now we're rejecting 3 million for him. It's just superb to see. However, and there is a big however, we failed to sign a centre midfielder, which is our weak spot at the moment, considering everyone is injured.
Oh God!
And I pretty much mean everyone. When we played Fulham on Saturday, we had a 5-back. We had 2 centre midfielders. One of them was a centre back.
Oh.
So we tried to sign Cam Brannigan from Oxford about 5 times. Got rejected 5 times. Oh. So pretty much like any average Love Island contestant, just get rejected. And yeah, that's pretty much been the story of our window. We've signed a few good young talents from the lower leagues. Charlie Kirk from Crewe Alexandra looks very handy. Yeah. We haven't lost anyone of note. We've lost like some bit part players, Joe Nuttall, Bez Labala. Doesn't really matter. They're not going to affect us long term. We've kept our big players. So yeah, I think all in all, a fairly positive window for us. But yeah, just needed that centre mid just to top it all off.
You should chuck in your CV. Maybe get a game or 2.
Well, I'm a striker, so probably wouldn't be much help. And my fitness at the moment is horrendous. So I'd be on for about 1 minute, and then I'd be asking to be subbed off again.
Probably more than I'd do. I'd get to the touchline and probably collapse from a heart attack or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, I'd say obviously every team's got their weak spot. For Newcastle, obviously, I think it was well documented the weak spot was the defence.
Hmm.
Considering the only team who conceded more than us this window was Norwich. Um,
Yep.
I did forget to do my research on how many goals we've actually conceded, but it's too many. And obviously
Yep.
resulting in us being in the bottom three. Obviously, with the win against Leeds, we are just 2 points away. I think if we beat Everton, we'll be 2 points away from them. So obviously, it can then drag them into the relegation battle.
Hmm.
Just have to see how that goes with the result there. Obviously, the top of the list priority was a centre back, which is well documented. We went in for Sven Botman originally, and then Diego Carlos. Obviously, we've managed to improve other positions. Most notably, the striker position is obviously Callum Wilson is quite injury prone. So yeah, for anyone that obviously wasn't up to date on our transfers, we signed Kieran Trippier, Chris Wood, Bruno Maresh, Matt Target, and Dan Burn. Personally, I'd say a pretty positive window. Obviously, didn't get the targeted 6 signings that was initially mentioned by the board. But I'd say personally a good window. If you'd told me beforehand we were going to sign these 5 players, I'd have probably snapped your hand off. But for me, very positive. Obviously, for rest of the Premier League, I mean, Ralph Hasenhüttl is probably raging his nut off at this point. But yeah, any thoughts on our signings, JL?
Right, Newcastle's. Okay, looking at all of them, I'll go through them one by one. Kieran Trippier, I mean, we all know what he's capable of. He was right back in England's World Cup side in 2018. Magnificent capture for your club. And he's obviously going to be a starting right back going forward in the future. So that's easy quality signing there. Chris Wood, I mean, he's not going to be a long-term project. You're not going to build your team around Chris Wood, realistically.
Yeah.
But for the short term, and for this season particularly, I think Wood will be a solid signing for you guys. I'm not going to say he's going to be an outstanding signing because you're going to have to change the way that you play because Wood is a completely different player to, say, a Callum Wilson or someone like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he'll get you goals. He will get you goals, but you might need to tweak a few things. I'm going to leave your star sign until last. So that brings me on to Matt Target, left back. I've seen him play at Villa quite a lot recently, and he's a solid left back. But as soon as they got Luca Digne from Everton, it was only a matter of time before he left.
Yeah, I think personally it was unfortunate for Target because obviously from what I've seen, he actually was a pretty, like you say, solid left back for them. But if a left back like Luca Digne does become available on the market, you're gonna take that chance.
Yeah, and but I think all in all, I think Matt Target will, again, as it's only a loan, it's only going to be short term.
Mm-hmm.
But he's another solid player, as I say. I mean, him and Jamal Lewis, I reckon, are probably similar. Potentially, you probably put Target just ahead of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, decent. Dan Burn as centre back. Now I know that you were trying to get Botman in, Diego Carlos. Now, I think you might have jumped the gun early if you went with one of those two, realistically, from my point of view. Because if you'd gone and signed them, one of them, and then you had got relegated, then they will have just asked to leave straight away because neither of them would want to play in the Championship, realistically, would they?
No.
So I think Dan Burn is the right signing for you guys at this time. And then for next season, if you stay up, you have Dan Burn as one centre back. Then you can pursue one of those two or someone else to partner alongside him. Because let's be realistic, Fabian Schär and Jamal Lascelles not going to be strong enough for you guys.
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
completely agree.
Dan Burn is a fantastic pickup for you guys, and he will do well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then finally, the big one, Bruno Maresh from Lyon.
You've just completely shut on my pronunciation. I thought I was getting it like because
Masters of Link.
I saw like a thingy on Twitter for it, and I was like trying to practice.
Yeah,
I'm like, right, I think I've got it here.
yeah, yeah. If if you need linguistic lessons, then I can try and help you because I did a few languages at school, so I can try and help. But no, Bruno is well, he's the marquee signing. He is really.
Yeah,
Um, he will really help out your midfield. I still think that you will need one more midfielder,
yeah,
and I'd be interested to get your thoughts on potentially a change in formation. But Guimaraes will be a handy centre midfielder for you guys. But I do think you do need one more centre midfielder because I think what you could do is go to a 4-3-3 and play Joel Linton as like as like an attacking midfielder because he's not a finisher, but he's a good presser, as we've seen in recent weeks,
mm-hmm.
in recent months. He's a good presser of the ball. He's done a good job actually at providing opportunities as well. You can have St. Maximin on one wing, and then would you say Ryan Fraser on the other wing, or
That's
have
it.
you got any?
Especially recent weeks, I think Fraser, when he's given the game time, he's impressive. Like I mean, Man United, for example, him and Saint Maximin able to press the
Yeah.
players well. I mean, the one clip in particular would be the one where it was Varane, and obviously it then riled the crowd up because we've actually got some sort of attacking intent or some proper defensive structure with it, trying to defend from the front instead of just sitting back and just hoofing the cunt up top like we would with Bruce.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, but in short, I think Bruno Guimaraes is. I don't want to like hype you guys up too much, but I think he is here to stay for you lot at Newcastle. And I think you would be best to build your team around him and around Saint Maximin for next season, ready to push to top half European football. I think that's probably your first aim. Don't aim too high. You can't afford to aim too high. Because if you get too many big names in at once, it won't work because there's too many big names and they're just going to want that fight for I'm the big name here, you do what I do. Too many big minds and they're all going to combust when they collide.
Too many egos
So to
in
speak,
that sort of
too
sense.
many egos.
To be fair, we've not got any other teams that are doing that currently. Cough, cough, Man United. But obviously, yeah, I completely agree. Like, obviously, like all the mainstream media, all these big footballing accounts and all that, it's saying about us, with the richest club in the world, which is a tag. It seems nice. Obviously, don't get me wrong. Especially considering what we've had past 14 years, but it's it's a case of we've kind of got that label now. Obviously, you've seen what Man City have done. Obviously, Chelsea with the money they've got, PSG the money they've got, and the players they can bring in. Obviously, people in these big football accounts. I don't know whether they mean it in a serious sense or a memey sense or what, but it's just it kind of seems like if we push gradually, I feel like there's going to be people that are bantering us for like, oh, you've got all this money, and then such and such person from some embarrassing video has said that we're going to win the league in 3 years, whatever, blah blah blah. I would much rather see us gradually progress than just go all in next season. If like, I mean, I know it might sound stupid. Obviously, if it was to either next season go all in, win the league, blah blah blah, or push gradually and win it in 10 years, I'd rather win it in 10 years because then at least it would feel more earned, more deserved, and that we've
Yeah.
actually worked towards it.
Yeah, like completely agree. Like that's the right way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
Leeds United tried to do something similar where they tried to just pretty much pick out not the best of the Premier League, but they picked up players like Rio Ferdinand, Robbie Keane, Robbie Fowler. This was 2001, 2002 time.
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much bought them as soon as they could, tried to fit them into a squad to get them into the Champions League. That failed, and then the payments from that pretty much almost bankrupted the side, and then they ended up going down to League One, lost pretty much everything that they had. I know Newcastle can afford not to go down to League One because they've got all the riches in the world now, but you can't afford to just bring everyone together at once. You need to build slowly. Well, not slowly, but say 2 or 3 big players one window, 2 or 3 next window, so on and so forth, until you have the right pieces. And then when you have the right pieces, then you can go and build on from there. And then you can you can go on to a title charge, maybe.
Couldn't agree more, really. It's one of those. But obviously, you mentioned about the fact that we've got the riches and that. Do you think? Because obviously, I've seen it mentioned a couple of times. The Newcastle tax. I'm going to dub it. A lot of people have dubbed it. Obviously, Man City have had this problem beforehand, where obviously prices of players have risen to then try and maybe get a bit of that money in because they can afford that. There was that bit of an issue with Diego Carlos. Obviously, Sevilla kept upping their price, and eventually we kind of just pulled out because we weren't going to pay at that point stupid amount of money because it was already agreed at one fee and then it kept going up and up. So do you feel like that Newcastle tax is a thing, or you think it's just because it's January that we're kind of stuck in the mud in that sense?
Well, I don't buy into that sort of Newcastle tax, Man City tax sort of thing. Purely because every player will have a set price. Every team will have a set price on that player, regardless of which team comes in for them, in my opinion. Whether it's, if you say Diego Carlos, whether they say 50 million or whatever it is, or another player 30 million or whatever. I personally don't buy it, but I can see why people are saying that thing that does exist, because as you say, teams like City, Newcastle now have the money to pretty much buy who they want if they want to.
Yeah.
But I personally don't buy it.
That's fair enough. I mean, I don't know how to feel on it. Obviously, we're at a point where, I mean, league position has cost us on a few players. Like, for example, for Van der Beek, for who else have we got? Luca Digne as well. Obviously, because of where we are.
You say it's cost you Van der Beek, but he's gone off to Everton, so
yeah,
he's in a little relegation dogfight of himself. So
I know, it's weird for Everton to be in the position they are because I don't know. I feel like it's kind of what you're saying, like mentioned before about trying to buy big players, spend lots of money. I mean, it's an issue Fulham had a few years ago. How much did they spend? Like 100 million, and they just went straight back down.
Yeah,
it's one of those. But obviously for Carlos and Botman, the most notable issue was the fact that the clubs were wanting to keep these, as they dubbed, untouchable players because of obviously their league goals and the fact that they were in Champions League for Lille, Europa League for Sevilla, obviously trying to push on for these European tournaments, but with the players wanting these moves, it's a bit of a weird one. Obviously, Rory has mentioned it. Obviously, John mentioned it in the mod chat about basically the Premier League is the Super League.
Yeah.
Which I mean, at this point, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it really is starting to turn into that way. I mean, you see Aston Villa signing Felipe Coutinho. You see it's
Eriksen
like you wouldn't have seen. Yeah, Eriksen to Brentford on deadline day. You wouldn't have seen any of this happening, even like 2-3 years ago. You wouldn't have seen that happening. It's getting to the stage where every player in the world wants to play in the Premier League, pretty much.
Starting to look like a FIFA career mode, really, with all
Barcelona
these
Barcelona have spiraled out of control.
Oh, honestly,
yeah, Barcelona have spiraled out of control. And then there was also on yesterday 2 Juventus players heading to Tottenham, which is just really bizarre. You got Bentancur and you got Kulusevski. Right. It's just it really is just turning into the Super League.
It is
minus the branding.
I mean, there was a non-league player that had actually turned down Tottenham, but then you've got 2 Juventus players playing.
Well, there was a reason for the non-league player
Yeah, I'm
not
not
going to
sure on the
Tottenham.
reason. I've just seen them getting memed for it.
No, that was the reason.
Or what for memes?
The so the non-league guy turned down Tottenham. He didn't turn it down. Tottenham actually turned it down because he mocked Harry Kane. So
Ah,
this was
I didn't realize that.
yeah on tweets he was mocking Harry Kane and his speech impediment, and that guy's an Arsenal fan, and yeah, so they went back, looked at his tweets, and they couldn't agree terms, and that's why the deal broke down.
But you learn something new every day.
Indeed.
Um, so I'll go into me quick little rankings of each players. I didn't quite expect. I mean, the plan I had is just completely gone in the bin. I've got questions on the back that I had for you that I've not even asked fucking 2/3 of them.
Oh.
But for each player, obviously, I've broken it down to individual things like quality, whether we needed to sign them, order on the list, stuff like that. For Trippier, I've given him an overall of like a 9 rating for us because I think quality wise in the right back position, there's not a great deal we can get better than him personally.
And especially considering what you had before in Javi Manquillo or Emil Kraft.
That is true. I mean it's a massive improvement. Obviously, I mean Hanquillo himself is quite a good player, but obviously not nowhere near the level of Trippier, who I mean was in La Liga's Team of the Year. So it's, I mean, it's still mental the fact that he joined first, and then obviously, still had to put it into words, but
I know.
Yeah, and obviously with him being the first name on the list for it, obviously was kind of ups the value of the transfer itself. For Chris Wood, it's a bit of a weird one because obviously he is a good player. Like I think he's one of less than 10 to have scored more than 10 goals in the past 4 or 5 seasons in the Premier League, if I'm correct.
It's something like that. I can't remember the exact
but it was a weird time for us because obviously we just come off the back of the Man United match. Obviously, a few injuries there, COVID cases starting to hit us, which then led to a combination of the both led to the Everton and Southampton matches being postponed, which I mean was very convenient for us. I don't know whether it was intentional the postponements or what, but I'm inclined to believe that they were unintentional. I've given Chris Wood an overall rating of 6.5 because it's a bit of a weird one. Although he is like a good player and can help us, obviously, like you've mentioned, we will have to change our style of play, which I think was well demonstrated in our match against Cambridge. We just kept crossing the ball in, but there was no actual target man there. And I personally felt like it was a panic buy because we needed a striker in by the Watford match. And especially for 25 mil, it's
I think the price tag. I think the price tag of 25 mil is way too much for him, in my opinion.
Yeah,
he does fill the striker need, and he will get you goals.
Definitely.
But as both said, you will need to change style of play to get him in. I'm thinking maybe a 6, just lower it slightly.
That's fair enough. I thought, to be fair, when I was rating them, I thought for that one I was being a bit lenient because I was kind of thinking of my explanation for it. I thought and especially this season he's on 4 goals, so he's not had the best of starts with Burnley. But there is a few people that have said that he is kind of a second half season person. So I'm hoping to be proved wrong.
And Burnley have been diabolical this season anyway. So
that's the thing as well. But I mean, Burnley are one of two. Burnley and Newcastle are 2 of the 4 teams that are kind of favoured to go down this season. I'll leave Gimaraj for last. I know I've butchered that. I'll leave his rating for last.
It's a good effort.
I'm going to be practicing all night. I'm not going to get any sleep.
I've heard so much worse. So you're fine on that.
Oh, until like we actually were about to sign him, I would always say, "Give me Rez."
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that I've heard before. No, I can't.
I'll move on to my target. I've given him
Yeah.
an 8 rating. Considering I think with Jamal Lewis being out for another, I think a couple of weeks, he is rumored to be out for. He is a massive improvement on Matt Ritchie, who is defensively woeful, to say the least. It's obviously, in an attacking sense, with the overlapping fullbacks that the modern game has, Matt Ritchie's, I mean, he's up there with, I think, chances created. It's still, I'm not sure if he's still there or not, but it was at a point in the season where he was up there for chances created because he's able to get the ball put into the box. Obviously, he's getting a few assists from it, but I think with Matt targeting, we can bring in the attacking ability of Richie and kind of improve that, and then it obviously improve on Jamal Lewis's defensive work.
Yeah, I think your point about Matt Ritchie is a very good one. Like, I don't really get why he was shoved back into a fullback position to begin with. I mean, I know for a while you were going 5 back, especially under Bruce, and you had him as a wing back, but to continue playing with him as a fullback is a bit pointless for me because he can't defend pretty much. If you ask me, he can't. And when he was at Bournemouth and we first started to really notice who he was outstanding on the wing under Eddie Howe. So I don't get why Howe hasn't gone back to playing Richie as a winger. I mean, I don't think he'll get in the side now, but I mean, yeah. But back to Matt Target, you've given him an 8. I think that's roughly the sort of ballpark area. 7.58. That's probably the right area because he does fix that. He does fix that problem short term. For the start of next season, as much as I love Jamal Lewis, being a partial Northern Ireland fan, because I've got family from Northern Ireland as well. Jamal Lewis is a good left back, but is he gonna set the world alight? No, he's not.
And I think considering a left back has been the target all window, I don't think Howe's got as much faith in him as people would think.
So I think Matt Target's got that short term. He's plugged that short term gap as such, and then you can go from there and get someone in the summer who will actually do the job long term. So I think Matt Target 7.58 is roughly a good area for him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's all dependent on whether we stay up a lot of it, really. I think if we do go down, we'll probably will stick with Jamal Lewis because I think as a championship fullback, he's probably a quality player. To be fair, but
championship definitely. Good enough.
Obviously, I hope we don't go down. Because then, I mean, there's like I've mentioned, obviously league position and the fact that it's January is kind of let us down with signing a lot of players. But I can see us in the summer, like kind of overhauling. Sorry, like a good half of the squad.
Yeah, I reckon so.
And then Dan Burn, I've given him a 9 rating. Obviously, massive improvement. Couldn't have been. Could be a better improvement, yes, considering especially some of the players we were linked to. But as you explained perfectly earlier on, obviously for this current situation, potential to go down, I think he's probably one of the best options we could have went for. His head's probably stuck in the roof in the gym right now. But I mean, he's got height. He's a brilliant defender. I mean, Brighton themselves tweeted that the past few weeks, the past month or whatever, he has been one of the better players in the league. So the fact that we've managed to snatch him up, and then if we can play him alongside, I'd say Fernandez, I'd say the back four we have now is quite a solid one.
You've given him a 9. I'm almost willing to bump it up purely because it's a perfect signing for what you need now, and I reckon it's a good signing for the future as well. Yeah, he brings with him leadership qualities and knowledge of the league when if you get someone like a Sven Botman or a Diego Carlos in the future, they won't have that knowledge of the Premier League, and watching their games, they don't have that leadership qualities that Dan Burn has. So Dan Burn could be a future captain for Newcastle in the future. So that's why I'd almost consider going 10 rating for him. I think, and for the price that you got him for as well, 13 million. That's a good signing for me. That's a very good signing for me.
I think only thing that costs me giving him a 10 is the fact that like his order on our list of targets, because it wasn't until I think the last quarter I think of the window was when he was actually first mentioned to be linked to a move to Newcastle. If he was one of the names initially, I'd have given him a 10 easily, but I think it's because of his order on the list of centre backs we were aiming for. I think that's kind of, I mean, I broke it down, but I'd say that's kind of what I'd say is maybe let him down for getting a 10 rating.
Yeah, potentially, but I don't really think it necessarily matters if you have him as like a third choice. I think regardless of that, the player himself is what you should judge it on.
Yeah.
And judging it on the player himself, I think he's a fantastic capture for you lot. And that's why I have him as potentially a 10. 9.5, maybe 10.
I'm just confused as to why we let him go in the academy, really. But I don't know. It was probably because Rafa made a lot of stupid sales. I don't get it, but it'll be one we look back on. We'll regret it eventually, but we brought him back into the club, and eventually, I'm hoping we'll be very happy with it, as he will help us to turn our season around. But obviously the marquee signing, Bruno. Hold on. Bruno Maresh.
Yeah,
I think I'm getting
close
there.
enough.
I think we're getting there. I think to no surprise, I have given him a 10 rating. I think obviously a name like that is going to attract a lot of attention. The stats that he brings with him to the club is immense. Obviously he's done well in Ligue 1. Obviously he's done well in Champions League football or European football in general. And considering, I mean, Shelvey, yes, he has improved under Eddie Howe, but other than that, in the midfield, we are lacking massively. So I think him and Shelvey alongside each other with Joe Linton as the attacking midfield and that three, perfect addition to the side, really.
Yeah, I think yeah. It's an easy 10 to give now because of the player that we've seen in Liga, and we've seen in Europe. We've seen what he does with the ball, without the ball. He has it all, really, if you ask me. But yeah, you say that Shelvey has been improving. That's the thing is, though, I'm still not convinced that Shelvey is necessarily the right midfielder to have for you. And that's why I said earlier, you could have potentially done with another centre midfielder.
I think the target was two. I'm trying to think of who we had on the list. I think it was two centre backs, a left back, a goalkeeper eventually crept onto the list. Due to Howe's lack of confidence in Dubravka. I don't know whether it's injuries or what, but we were linked to Dean Henderson later on in the window. We were looking to bring in an attacking midfielder to kind of bring Joe Linton into the centre mid role. So obviously we'd have had Lingard as the attacking midfielder, or maybe maybe a Donny van der Beek there. I'm not entirely sure, but I think although like you say, Shelvey has improved, he's not quite at the standard that we need at this point. But it'll be one we'll definitely improve in the summer.
Yeah, but yeah, Guimaraes is definitely a 10.
Guimaraes, there we go.
Yeah. It's like you say it with a W after the G, Guimaraes, and that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah. So there are my ratings for each individual player. I think overall, as a window, I'd give it personally an 8 out of 10. Really. I think obviously January is a very tough window as it is. Obviously mid-season, teams have their targets, not really wanting to sell players but are always wanting to improve on the current squad. To be able to bring in 5 in January is I'd say a great achievement. Um, Obviously league position, and like I say, clubs targeting to finish their season strong have kind of let us down. But like I say, January's a tough window. But overall, I think it's been a fantastic window for Newcastle. I don't know. I don't know if you'd agree with me on that one, Jamie.
Yeah, I'd say it's been a successful one. When you asked me to come on yesterday, I did a little bit of looking into the teams around you and what they've done in the window.
Mhm.
So Everton have brought in 5 players, 3 of which are definitely first teamers: Mikalenko, Van der Beek, and Dele Alli.
Yeah.
Nathan Patterson's going to be fringes, first team, potentially gets in. Anwar El Ghazi from Aston Villa, probably not. But then you've got Watford, who've got 4 players in, but realistically only 1, maybe 2 of them will actually play for them. Samuel Kalu will definitely play for them in the winger, and Hassan Kamara potentially, and potentially Samir at centre back. The others, other than Brentford with Christian Eriksen, the others haven't made any signings. So I think that might, and apart from Burnley with Wout Weghorst yesterday, but I think Newcastle have done the best out of everyone in the relegation battle purely because they've got the players in where they needed to get players in. Because Everton, whilst they've got players in, they had the quality already in those positions, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And signing Van der Beek and Dele Alli, that's 2 players in one position.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Lampard works at Everton, really.
Yeah. But I do think Newcastle had the best window of the relegation teams, and I agree with you in saying that Newcastle had a very good window.
And then, obviously, final question: do you think it will be enough to keep us in the Premier League come the end of the season?
Here's the biggie.
That's the big money question, the £1 million question.
The £1 million question.
And there is a wrong answer here.
There is a wrong answer here. And this is a big question to see whether I'll be invited back on.
Possibly.
I do think you have done enough, realistically. I think the later signings, I think Dan Burn, Bruno Maresh, I think you will have done enough.
Yeah.
And especially under Eddie Howe, you've started to show glimpses of improvement that you were really lacking under Steve Bruce.
Yeah.
I think you will stay up. It might only be by a point or two. It might even go down to the final day. But looking at what Burnley have done, all they've done is replace Chris Wood with a similar style striker, just a little bit taller.
Yeah.
Watford, they bought in Roy Hodgson, but I just don't think it'll be enough for them.
Yeah.
And then Norwich, even though they've got Dean Smith and they are starting to look like a decent team, I think it will come crashing down for them at some point. So I think you'll be safe.
The invitations back to the channel are always there. But no, obviously, I mean, like I've documented well enough in the mod chat. I've always been confident of us staying up since we brought in Howe. I think the style of football he has was better suited, obviously than fucking cabbage heads. But I was obviously with the takeover, with us being able to actually spend money. I mean, we couldn't even afford Hamza Chowdhury's fucking loan fee in the summer, and yet, I mean, we were linked with him again in this window, which I actually thought was just a piss take personally, but it was actually a genuine link. But it's to be able to actually spend money this window. It's like I wasn't old enough to experience being a Newcastle fan before Mike Ashley. So to be able to actually enjoy a transfer window, it's honestly one of the better feelings. But yeah, I've always had confidence that we're staying up.
Yeah, it's good that we're able to compare, seeing as you've had a shambolic owner in Mike Ashley.
Yeah,
and I've had a shambolic owner in the Oyston family.
Mhm.
and we've both taken over by. Well, you've got the Richies. We've got a local fan that's actually passionate about the club.
Yeah.
So we both can empathise with how bad things have been in the past, and look forward to the future and see where it takes us.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, if I invited a Sunderland fan here, I definitely would not have had that response that I've had. Mike Ashley was a great owner, blah, 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 Ellis Shaw, blah, blah, blah.
I absolutely, I can stand the bloke. I fully boycotted Sports Direct because of that bloke.
Oh, yeah, like, I've still not stepped foot back into Sports Direct and they consoled us.
I ain't either. I ain't either. I just can't stand the bloke. I just think he's so far up his own arsehole. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't stand him either. I mean, I'm currently wearing a Zambia top for the recording. I need to get Dakar on the back. I've been waiting over a year to get it done, and I've still not done it because Sports Direct is the only place I think I can go. So I'll probably have to find some fucking dodgy shop or something that'll do it for me. But
or we'll get J-Ro to do it, and we'll get it spelt horrendously. A la Decchio Carlos.
Oh, well, it's a shame I couldn't use that thumbnail properly, but
Oh, no.
yeah. But yeah, thank you very much, JL, for agreeing to come onto the channel. You've
very much
helped me be humbled with my opinions.
Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it,
yeah.
mate.
I mean, before I put the message into the mod group, I was actually worried in case no one would respond or Elcox, so I would just get abused the whole time. But yeah, it's nice to have someone with actual intelligence on the channel. So
I wouldn't go that far. I do have my dumb moments.
Yeah, but the only other competitor is me. Oh, but yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like. All the links for any socials relevant to this video will be in the description. Mine, J Rose, he obviously helps me do all this graphics, and JL's will be in because he's an absolute hero and has helped me out this video. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like and let me know your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more. And adios. Oh, fuck, I need to click. There we go.